The V2 class was designed by Sir Nigel Gresley for the LNER in 1936. Designed for express mixed traffic, the V2s were the only major class of 262 tender locomotives used in British Rail. Though tank locomotives with a 262 wheelbase were common, the V2 was the only successful tender variant. The design derived from the A1/A3 Pacifics that Gresley had designed earlier. With this design, though, he shrank the driving wheels by 6 inches so that they were 6'2" compared to the 6'8" of the A3s. With a shortened boiler, the design also inherited Gresley's favorite 3-cylinder arrangement, though this time all 3 cylinders were part of a single monoblock casting, which is very unusual. The V2 had free steaming qualities that the LNER Department of Operation required. Aside from being able to work vacuum-braked freight consists at up to 60 miles per hour, they also deputized for Pacifics. In its peak condition, a V2 could almost match a Pacific point for point at keeping a sustained high speed. One of the class was reliably timed at 93 miles per hour on the Yorkshire Pullman, while another reached 101.5 on a test run. Though they were recognized as versatile and very powerful locomotives, around 1939 their reputation was firmly established during World War II for their remarkable feats of hauling power. Their abilities proved capable of 20 carriage loads filled with to 710 tons, resulting in their construction being allowed to continue throughout the war. Their relatively heavy 22-ton axle load meant that their use was restricted to 40% of the LNER's route. Barred from the former Great Eastern Railway main lines, the V2 mainly worked the Waverley route, Carlisle and Edinburgh, as well as the ex-Great Central main line between Marylebone and Sheffield. The V2 class went under significant modifications through its lifetime. In 1946, a series of derailments were traced to the leading pony truck design, which was sensitive to the poor track conditions of the wartime use with little maintenance. To cure the problem, the suspension needed to be modified. In the 1950s, cracks on the monoblocks became very frequent. With replacement of the monoblocks expensive, the decision to replace the monoblocks with separate cylinder castings was made in 1956. Though it yielded no significant performance increase, double chimneys were fitted to 8 of the class. Dubbed Super V2s, they were reckoned to be fully equal in performance to larger Pacifics. Out of the 184 glorious locomotives, only one exists in preservation to this day. The very first of her class, built originally LNER number 4771, now number 60800, Green Arrow, rests as part of the National Collection. Now to compare and contrast the real thing to the sim model. The first thing I would like to point out here is that the V2 is not sold on its own, but rather comes free when you purchase the Robinson 04 locomotives. They are used as background trains in the Robinson 04 scenarios, but you can make your own scenarios for them if you want. But be careful because they are listed as R04V2 on the list. This is why they are in BR Black and not LNER Green. When it comes to the model, we find no detail unturned, even the front cab windows being tilted inward for more aerodynamics. When judging by the only shots of Green Arrow's cab I could find, we see that everything is kept to code here. Everything looks in place and nothing is missing. The only problem I can find with this locomotive is the whistle. I found a video on YouTube of Green Arrow pulling out of a station in her LNER number and livery. Though I am not sure how old this video is, I'm sure she would still have the same whistle today, and the one used in the game sounds higher pitched than the one Green Arrow uses. If anything, it sounds like a teapot someone left on the stove that's running out of steam to blow. Finally, we face the question of speed. With the reputation of the V2 being able to keep up with the A3s, just how fast can one go? The answer? Someone called Doc Brown, because we've hit 88 miles an hour. All we need is a flux capacitor and we can go back to the future. Indeed, Gresley knew how to make express engines, and the V2 is another under the roster of must-haves for collections.